Well, good evening. Once again, welcome to Afro Prime Time on Afro Worldview. I'm Richard Searle and Ty, and as always, great to have you with us. Let's take a look at our top story. The community of Mamelodi took to the streets to highlight the plight of missing persons in the area. This follows the disappearance of a 10-year-old girl who was found dead a week after she went missing. Afro Worldview reporter Nhlanhla Jele brings us more. Let's take a listen.
When Katlaho Georgia, who suffered autism, went missing from her home just over a week ago, her family immediately reported her missing. However, police reportedly turned them away, saying that they needed to wait 24 hours before they could file a missing persons report. Despite what happened, the family remains hopeful that the police will prioritize this case.
I'm very disappointed, even though they are trying to do something, but I'm very disappointed how they handled this case from the beginning.
The hashtag Not In My Name campaign is calling for the police to prioritize missing persons cases.
Our law enforcement police officers must stop returning people when they report missing people in our police stations.
The community also voiced their concerns.
We are pleading to the community, to the police, for assist in order to save our children.
This system of waiting 24 to 48 hours is failing the community as a whole.
Autism is a range of conditions characterized by challenges with social skills, speech and nonverbal communication, as well as by unique strengths and differences. Mpho is a 12-year-old autistic child from Mamelodi. Her mother runs a center for children with autism, and her wish is to see communities educated about this condition.
We need the school as much I need the school for autism, strictly like school for autism. Not the school with the mixture with the children with CP, but the school who are going to monitor Mpho, potty training, routine, something like that. Because of remember that our children, they are not deaf, they are not dumb. They can.
Nhlanhla Jele, Afro Worldview, Mamelodi, Pretoria.
Well, we are joined live in studio by Thokozani Masilele, chairperson of the Gauteng Community Police Board. And thank you once again for joining us. Let's dig straight into this story. Sir, what is your take on this story and what can you draw from it?
Firstly, it's unfortunate that we experienced what has just happened with regards to Katlego and the community of Mamelodi. It could have been handled better, and I think we are sad and we pass our condolences to the family.
Okay. Now, when you say it could have been handled better, what are some of the things that could have been done?
Basically, we know that the family went to the police station to report a missing child, and in this case, a missing child with autism. Mm-hmm. The police could have possibly done better than what they have handled. Firstly, they could have activated all the necessary mechanisms, mm-hmm. irrespective of the time frame. Okay. Because apparently the police have a specific time. But this year we're talking about a special child, a girl child, mm-hmm. That in any circumstances, the priority based on the gender-based violence, based on what has been happening in the country. Mm-hmm. But other than that, this is a child with a special condition that could have been handled much, much better. The waiting period or the instruction, I don't think it cuts fair to the family, but I think it also not cut fair to the community. Mm-hmm. Hence, I'm saying that we all agree, including the police, that it could have been handled far better than what has happened. And as a board, we want to apologize on behalf of us, not actually putting more pressure onto the police to make sure that the instruction and the protocol that is to be followed, it matters not if we're talking about special cases like this.
Okay, I think, sir, the question that needs to be asked is what can be done to protect our children in the community?
We have to agree that we have a little bit sick community, and that is a moral regeneration that we should be looking at, talking about proper policing and community police relations. We should be looking at strengthening that and making sure that the police, the community owns these police stations. Okay. We have problems when we're having station commanders and cluster commanders claiming that this is my police station. This is a community police station, and it should be a user-friendly first stop. And some of the protocol, we need to look at that. We need to talk to politicians. We need to talk to at the highest level to say some of the instructions that you're giving us here in terms of of missing persons, the protocol that is to be followed are very unrealistic. And in this time and space, we should act better and we should act quicker. But the community also, we must thank them for not waiting for the police, also trying to search and find a child. That has to be strengthened also. We actually pleading together with the MEC of Community Safety that we should have a sort of a reconciliation, because the community of Mamelodi, you find that now they have lost trust in the police.
Absolutely.
And you have to find a way of rebuilding that. We have given a commitment by the provincial commissioner and the cluster commander that we will be having a open police day. Now, that should happen in each and every police station in the country. You know, not so long ago, we used to have what you call a police indaba, community indaba, or imbizo, where communities will be allowed to come and vent their anger or raise concern or praise the good work that has been done, or the bad work, the shabby job that has been done. Now, that has to be reinvented, and we have engaged the provincial commissioner on these issues to say your cluster commanders, your station commanders must make sure that they visit each and every corner of that community, that the police precinct is actually in the perimeters of that police station. Because you find that a police station commander doesn't even know a pastor around the corner of a certain church until there's a problem.
Right.
Or a school principal around the corner until there's a problem. Now, station commanders must have to leave their offices, their comfort offices. They should be on the streets and make sure that they speak to and visit and know your sector.
But sir, when you say they should make sure, who can be held responsible or accountable to see that the police are integrating themselves with the community? Who should be held accountable for that?
Part of the oversight allows the community to hold the police accountable. We, as the police relations, are then accountable. The MEC will be accountable. The minister should be accountable. Right. The provincial commissioners should be, the national commissioners should be accountable. I understand and I agree that the police cannot police each and every child, but I'm talking about a missing child that has been reported here. I'm not talking about kids playing around the corner and then got missing. I'm talking about a child that has been reported twice the family sent away because of some stupid protocols.
All right. Let's introduce our next guest, Siyabulela Gentile. He's the president of Not in My Nation South Africa campaign. Not in My Name, rather. Siyabulela, thank you for joining us. What's your take in this whole unfortunate incident?
Thank you very much for having us. It's Not in My Name, SA, South Africa. So we are very saddened by the passing of this little girl. We are part of the people who were on the ground searching for her. So the news of her passing left us very devastated. But be that as it may, you know, it has happened and there is nothing we can do. We must look forward. So what is important is that we educate ourselves as communities about the conditions such as the one she was living with, which is autism. And also it's important that we call on all South Africans to stand in unity to say we are not going to allow another Katlego to get missing only to be found dead after 4 days in our names. So it is a very sad one, but we are on the ground with the family. We've been offering them support since day one, since the 3rd of May when the little Katlego got missing. So even today we had a march, a demonstration in Mamelodi, Pretoria, which was convened and organized by Not in My Name SA, to say that we want to activate the community members to stand up and say, we're not going to allow this to happen ever again. You'll remember that Mamelodi is notorious for this kind of cases.
Right.
It's almost as though it's an annual thing. You know, a little girl or boy gets missing and they are found a few days later. So we are trying to say to the community, you know, you need to stand up together and make sure that you are your neighbor's a keeper. You know, so one of the reasons that we marched today was not only to bring attention to Katlego's story in particular, but also to say that this thing is happening all over South Africa. In fact, all over the world. It's a global phenomenon. So we submitted a memorandum of demands to the South African Police Services in Mamelodi West, which some of them were that we want this case to be prioritized and investigations carried out speedily and with due diligence, and that also we're calling for whoever is responsible the employees there who are responsible for turning the family back, they must be fired. We are not going to allow this thing of going under processes, internal process. We know that there won't be any justice there. Had they taken this case, maybe something would have happened. Remember, Katleho couldn't speak because of autism. So they didn't deserve to be treated that way, the family, which is one other thing. And also we're saying that Moretele River is notorious for such issues. That is where they dump these kids almost year in, year out. So we're saying that it should be cleaned, it should be monitored.
Right.
They must make sure that they...
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
That's my second question. It's great that you had a march, you brought awareness to this particular situation, but we want our community safe. What preventions have you put in place to make sure that this never happens again?
Yes, yeah, which was what I was getting into. To say that we said to the SAPS in Mamelodi, make sure that this Moretele River is protected first of all, in a sense that you need to patrol it 24/7. In that case, it's easier for us to identify who dumps what, when, and how. And also to say that when cases are reported, they are law enforcement officers. This thing of them relaxing, turning people back, telling people to write their own statements, it doesn't work. So we are saying that they must do that and engage the community. You know, it's very important. They must not just sit and accept that year in, year out, little girls are going to get missing and be found dead. So it's one of the preventative measures. But also what we said is that we said to the SAPS, we demand that they give us a detailed prevention plan that will make sure that this thing never happens again. So we are saying that they must present to us a plan and let us know how we can best be involved together with other stakeholders.
Let's move over to Mr. Maselele. I'd like you to respond to what he says. This has happened year in and year out. It's been happening for several years. The police department seems to turn a blind eye to the number of missing persons. To that, you say what?
There's a lot of points that we need to look at and factors that are in place. Firstly, the cleaning of the river and the stream and the maintaining of that, it's a municipal thing. So the Tshwane Metro Police Department is responsible of making sure that street lights are working. Okay. Obviously, they will activate the right people. The councillors, right? We can't have a councillor that doesn't knows, stays in the area, and a ward councillor knows that that stream is a dangerous area and does basic little in terms of that. And there should be a proper lighting around that Moretele River and so forth, so that the patrolling can be also easy. But communities must also mobilize themselves. You know, communities have community patrollers, have community peace officers. Those people should have play a certain role in making sure that those areas, those open spaces.
But now you're shifting the blame to the community. Shouldn't the police station take responsibility first and foremost?
The police station definitely has to. When I started, I said to you, it should have been handled better.
Yes.
Okay. I still maintain that, and I'm saying that to fast track things so that it doesn't happen again. Listening to the campaign, Not in My Name, it's simple. Says what are the measures that are we going to make sure that it doesn't happen next year, this time of the year, because apparently it's now happening almost yearly and same time or more or less. I mean, I was listening to the radio that it happens since 2013 that you'll find a situation like this, and I'm saying that all of us, including the community, including the police, the metro police, the councillors, the municipality, we must make sure. Hence, we have formed now a task team that must make sure that timelines. We must put timelines in place, and we must make sure that happens. If it doesn't happen, we must make sure and be able and not be afraid to say heads must roll, and based on all of us activated to make sure that we improve the situation, that we don't have another Katleo anytime in this Mamelodi area.
And it's making a very good point when he's saying that communities must mobilize themselves, and which is what we are encouraging communities to do. But also there is a danger in communities mobilizing themselves. We always encourage the civil society space to assume that space. You know, when you have people mobilizing themselves in the communities, I'll make you an example of the recent incidences that took place in the Northwest. You'll remember when the whole issue around the Northwest Premier Supremo Appeal came out. The people of Mafikeng started riots there, and it moved to the other parts of Northwest, to Klerksdorp and Potchefstroom, and people started burning tires which is normal. But now they started looting, breaking down shopping malls and things. So it's community mobilizing themselves, but there is no leadership. So they are mobilizing themselves, but they are going nowhere. Instead, they are distracting. They are causing distraction to property. So it's our responsibility also. We cannot leave the communities into self-mobilizations without correct leadership in place. That is why when we said to the city of Tshwane on Monday, right, we don't have enough time to plan for our march. We started planning for this march on Monday. We said to them, you know what? If we don't contain this situation, you know what's going to happen. The residents of Mamelodi are angry. And they are ready to take to the streets. So by so doing, by providing that kind of leadership, we are diffusing a potential distraction to property. So it says we must all come together, the religious sector, the political sector, the civil society sector. And also our politicians must stop this thing of politicizing everything. You see, a situation like this is a societal issue, and we always encourage our people to say, before you are an EFF member, before you are an ANC member, before you are a DA member, you carry a South African ID, you are a South African. So some issues like this today, like the behavior of some of the political parties today was uncalled for. They wanted to cause unnecessary chaos. So they need to provide leadership. They need to be seen as the matured people who are leading our people into the right direction.
All right. Now, we talked about responsibility. I would like to know who we call to the table. Their position, their name, would it be in the police department? Who would that person be? Who should be in this discussion right now?
Definitely, the provincial commissioner is the first police person of the province.
And have they had a public statement to this regard?
I'm told they made a statement on Monday, but there will be a joint statement, because what we are saying to them, we're saying don't just make a statement. We want you to go back to that community, and not only that community of Mamelodi, but all the communities in this province. This thing of sitting in the offices and send those calls full shoulders and not give them direction, like he's correctly saying, it's a bit of a problem, because if your people are not trained properly, this is what you could have. So, provincial commissioner, as a first top cop of the province, must be able to give leadership to her troops and making sure that held those troops accountable.
Correct.
And we will do the oversight and making sure that those that need to be taken to task are taken to task. We have also made another discussion with the family to say we need to keep in contact and have timelines. It shouldn't be just a once-off kind of a thing. We will be calling them obviously after everything, after the funeral and so forth. But we want the police to be at the funeral themselves.
Absolutely.
We want the police to be part of that funeral on Friday. We want the police to making sure that they agree and understand that wrong has been done. But not
do you feel the provincial commissioner should address the community?
Oh, of course, definitely. We are arranging that in that open day. Station commander, cluster commander, provincial commissioner, and all the provincial management. Actually, we have said the whole provincial management of deputy provincial commissioners must come and address this community, but then put in place plans going forward. We're just approaching the next week is a Child Protection Week. How are we going to talk about Child Protection Week if you're having already let down one child too many? Well said. Gentlemen, I'd like to thank you for joining us in the studio, and we hope to see you again. Once again, thank you for your input. Let's move